What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of View for Vinland Saga Season 2. This is episode 11, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
hmm we got another mainly Canute focused episode in this one. Um, Pretty much we were already shown like how much of us, how much more of a skilled fighter he's become ever since the end of the first episode. Initially, his sister in particular viewed it as more of a pacifist because he refused to take up the sword before his father's death. But ever since like he's taken the responsibility to rule the kingdom of Denmark before ended ruling England afterwards, he decides to take it upon himself to become a more capable warrior because it would make him look more efficient in the eyes of his followers.
Well, I also like how it's like, yeah, he's probably become physically stronger, but he also uses I guess manipulation or psychological manipulation in order to win fights. I forget what the guy's name is, but one of his underlings he's fighting with, he basically I guess because he knew that I suppose he has like a crush on his sister, he used that to his advantage and just to try to get the upper hand in the fight.
Yeah, I mean he still earns the respect of the rest of his underlings soon afterwards, but much of Canute's motivation at this episode is mainly to try to fund his military, and one of the suggestions is that he would try to tax the people of Denmark, but he outright refuses to do that because if he did, then the people of Denmark would end up revolting against him, and that's his biggest fear because ever since the last episode when whether or not he was hallucinating or not, he still fears that he himself might get poisoned by either by one of his underlings or members of his family, like his sister.
Yeah, I mean it, and instead of taxing the people, he decides that he's going to requisition land, and that's kind of his strategy. And we find out that is also something he plans to do with Kettle's farm as well. Because this episode also shifts between Canute and Kettle's point of view, I suppose, where we follow Kettle and his Omar and his other son Thorgil, as well as seeing Leif Erikson again.
Yeah, and of course we see Leif after Olmar unfortunately causes a commotion in the marketplace, getting into a confrontation with Thorfinn. Well, not the main Thorfinn. He's actually another Thorfinn, who was adopted by Leif.
Yeah, and we of course know that Leif has just been like for years now, been trying to find Thorfinn, or just been trying to bring him back home. He did encounter Thorfinn briefly in season 1, but Thorfinn, went off, and ever since then he's been trying to look for him, without success really. And then after having the conversation he has with Kettle in this episode, he discovers that Thorfinn might very well be working as a slave for Kettle.
Yeah, assuming if both Thorfinn and Einar will end up being slaves any longer.
Yeah.
If Kettle still has his way.
It could just be where Leif tries to get there and he's too late and they're not there anymore. They're not slaves or something.
Yeah, and of course he tries to arrange a trip over there, but of course his son, who is also a merchant, is of course gets in an argument with his father, saying that if we go to Kettle's farm, you're gonna delay us for at least 10 days for the trip.
Oh, it wasn't his son; it was one of his men, I think.
Okay, so it was. I thought it was, but yeah. But of course, we don't really get to follow up on what happens. So I mean, it's possible he might end up going there regardless.
Yeah, he might try to go on his own, just because he's pretty much obsessed with just trying to find Thorfinn at this point.
Yeah. So we do follow up with Kettle meeting Canute for the first time. Initially, he wanted to meet his brother. I forgot
Harold?
his name. It was King Harold. Yeah. Initially, he wanted to visit Harold to continue business with him regarding his farm, and of course, giving him gifts and all. But of course, he gives the gifts in Canute's place, and of course, Canute appreciates the offer and decides to continue business in his brother's place soon afterwards. But then, of course, the meeting gets derailed thanks to Olmar's idiocy about wanting to join Canute's military. So Canute, of course, gives Olmar a test of trying to, I guess, try to hack a dead boar in half. But of course, Olmar, being what he is, just screams like an idiot and then just fails miserably at trying to hack this pig.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious he's not. He's really not like fit to be a warrior, but he desperately wants to be. And instead of outright rejecting him, Canute says like he's going to convene with his men and come to a decision, and he tells Olmar to stay overnight, and wait until I guess the next day when he makes his decision. And I think we all know that Canute obviously, I mean anybody would know, like, yeah, Omar is not really fit to be a warrior. He's not, he would not be capable as a fighter. And basically Canute seems like he's thinking of using that the fact that I guess he's not very capable to his advantage. Which seems to be the implication based on the conversation he later has with the rest of his men, or with his advisors.
Yeah, he plans to use Olmar as a way to, I guess, requisition Kettle's farm.
Yeah.
Which, if he does that, then he'll take full ownership of the farmland over Kettle, and of course that would complicate things even further with Thorfinn and Einar being there.
Yeah, it could potentially lead to some conflict, which I think is going to be pretty interesting. If Canute tries to sort of force his way in there.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty interesting. I mean, well, Kettle's the one who offered, Thorfinn and Einar their freedom as soon as he gets back from his trip. But that's assuming, if Canute doesn't, requisition his farm before this.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that's where this is going.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think it's pretty obvious that Canute himself will suddenly make a trip over to Kettle's farmland and then make a proclamation that he owns the farm now, and then this will complicate things for both Thorfinn and Einar.
Yeah, I will say you're kind of onto something. If I remember correctly, there's something like that ends up happening. So but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the next episode. We don't really get too much from the episode preview. It just seems like it's just basically continuing to show things from Canute's perspective. I was a little bit disappointed because we don't really get anything from Thorfinn in this episode. Maybe in the next episode, though, I think we might, maybe we might get some more from their side of things. But yeah, I still thought it was a pretty good episode nonetheless. I like that we finally got to see Leif Erikson again, and I'm kind of hoping that he does at least try to find Thorfinn instead of just leaving again. But based on the way things end up being with Leif Erikson trying to find Thorfinn, he might just miss him or something. He might get there and they would already be gone. I anticipate something like that happening.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely his strongest lead yet. I mean, he's obviously not going to pass on this opportunity, whatever the cost.
Yeah, but I like the episode, though. It's again a little bit more of a slower episode too, just because there wasn't really too much that happened other than just kind of setting certain things up, I guess. But I don't really have too much else to say about it, though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
it was an all right episode.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely building up. I guess in a way, just with possibly Canute and Thorfinn butting heads
Yeah.
sometime later. But I mean, they could miss each other. I mean, it's possible, but it's just with
I feel like it would be
Canute
more
looking.
dramatic if they did encounter, have a have like an encounter again, or just sort of have sort of a conflict, or they encounter each other, and they're kind of at odds with each other. I think it would be pretty interesting, especially considering they kind of have a history together. So I think it's more likely that that's probably gonna be what happens.
Yeah, I think it would make more of a dramatic dynamic, if they did meet each other. But
Yeah.
it does seem like that the whole thing with Canute looking to requisition Kettle's farm would, like I said, it's going to complicate things even further for both Thorfinn and Einar, who are definitely trying to look to gain their freedoms alongside. I think it was fuck, I keep forgetting your name. It's
Oh,
it was
Arnheid,
Arnheid.
yeah.
Arnheid. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think it will definitely do that, especially if Canute decides to do what he's going to do. But yeah, I'm, like I said, looking forward to the next episode. I think Spade's definitely right, if I remember correctly from the manga, about his predictions. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But that all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.